To the Middle East now, where for the first time since March, aid trucks finally rolled into Gaza today. Not many, just 5, and not before time. The need for food, medicine and other supplies is desperate. But in the face of mounting global pressure from even Israel's traditional allies, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu relented.
All the Palestinians in Gaza depend on food aid for their survival. But for the last 2.5 months, Israel has prevented any supplies from getting in, meaning having to go hungry has become more and more commonplace. Pressure from the Americans has now forced the Israelis to relent, and this evening they announced that 5 lorry loads had been allowed in. Given the great need, that's a paltry amount of aid. But then, as the Israeli Prime Minister stressed on social media today, he ordered the lifting of the siege for diplomatic rather than humanitarian reasons.
We
must not reach a state of starvation, both from a practical and diplomatic point of view. We simply won't get support. We won't be able to complete the mission of victory, said Benjamin Netanyahu. The end of the siege might take Gaza back from the brink of famine, but it remains on the brink of a complete Israeli military takeover, the prelude to which has been relentless airstrikes that have claimed dozens of lives every day for the last week. Most of the dead are civilians. Women and children make up a worryingly high proportion. Here, victims, alive and dead, are being ferried to hospital on the back of a lorry. Today, the IDF ordered the evacuation of most of Khan Yunis, the second biggest city on the Gaza Strip. The Israelis say the attack they will launch after people have fled will be unprecedented. Given what the place has already been subjected to, that's a chilling prediction. A British surgeon is working in a hospital there.
Not a great day for us here, I'm not going to lie. And to make matters worse, we've just found out that we are now on the edge of the active fighting zone. So we can expect the bombing to get much, much louder.
These evacuees have been told to go to an area that has also been hit by airstrikes. It's not much of a haven in this expanding war. What the people of Gaza really need is another ceasefire, and ongoing negotiations in Doha provide the faintest glimmer of hope. There's been no breakthrough, but the fact that both sides are still engaged 3 days after President Trump left this region suggests that the talks are serious. John Irvine, News at 10, Tel Aviv.
Rohit is here now. With that piece still elusive right now, you've been looking at the tactics being used by the Israeli Defense Force.
And Nina, the Gaza Strip spans 141 square miles. But for a moment, let's focus on just one of them, this square mile in the north. At its heart, the Indonesian hospital, a 140-bed, octagon-shaped facility funded by Indonesia. And here is a satellite image taken shortly after the conflict began. Now, look at what's happened in the year and a half since. Everything around it leveled, and now this single square mile has become a focal point, encircled in the last few days, inaccessible. The facility forced out of service. The Israeli military has surrounded it. The Palestinian Health Ministry, which is run by Hamas, says the IDF is using drones. There's panic too among patients and staff. And just to the south is Khan Yunis. Today, the IDF ordered some of its residents to evacuate ahead of what it called an unprecedented attack. They told people to move from the yellow section and to head westwards. You can see from the tarpaulin, and it's an area packed with tents. And all the while, Prime Minister Netanyahu is sharpening his tone, saying Israel will take control of the whole of Gaza. The details are unclear, but an indication of how that might emerge from this map leaked to the Times over the weekend, it shows Gaza divided into 3 tightly controlled strips of land for civilians, separated by 4 exclusively military zones. One of the ideas being considered for what might happen if there is no cease deal. And Nina, today we also heard a change of tone from the UK, from France and Canada, unusually critical language of Israel. It threatened concrete actions if it doesn't end this offensive. Things certainly changing among some of Israel's allies.
OK, we wait to see. Rohit, thank you.